Here is something that sounds like a contradiction. A continent that is still fighting to keep the lights on in many cities is also sending satellites into space. It's not a joke. It's not a vanity project. It's actually a business. Africa now has its own space agency. More than 20 countries with active space programs. An industry already worth close to $25 billion. So today, let's break it down simply. Who is actually leading this race? And does it actually pay off? Or is it just an expensive bragging rights? Egypt and South Africa are two most advanced. Egypt has around 15 satellites up there. South Africa has about 13. Egypt also just became home to the brand new African Space Agency, which opened its headquarters near Cairo in 2025. South Africa, meanwhile, is helping to build what will become the world's largest radio telescope, a giant network of dishes still under construction, expected to keep growing well past 2027. Nigeria and Algeria come next. Nigeria's Space Agency has been launching satellites since the early 2000s, mostly for things like weather tracking and monitoring the environment, not rockets to the moon. Then there's a whole new wave of smaller players: Kenya, Rwanda, Ghana, Senegal, and Zimbabwe, using small, low-cost satellites to get into the Cape without the need to build massive budgets and big infrastructure. And countries are teaming up too. Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Sudan, and Uganda are jointly running one shared satellite just to track climate change together. By the middle of this year, at least 18 African countries already sent up or acquired a satellite. This is no longer a two-country show. Here's the part that matters most, because this is not just government pride. Africa's space industry is worth close to $25 billion today, and is expected to grow to almost $40 billion by 2030. So, where does the money actually come from? Not from building rockets. That part is still mostly funded by government. The real money is what you do with the information satellite collects. Farming is the biggest one. Nearly half of Africa works in agriculture. Satellite can now see which farms are dry, which crops are struggling, and where is rain heading days before it happens. A company like Complete Farmer in Ghana already used this to help thousands of farmers plant better instead of guessing. Disaster warning is another. Experts say every dollar spent on early flood or storm warnings saved about $10 in damage afterwards. A satellite can warn a village that flood is coming days in advance, which is different between evacuating safely and losing everything. Getting people online is probably the fastest growing piece. Only about 35 out of every 100 Africa were online as of 2024. Companies like Starlink are already active in 20 countries in Africa, and Amazon's satellite internet arm has permission to operate in Nigeria because satellite can reach a village that fiber could never reach. And even fishing matters here. Illegal fishing is estimated to cost African countries over $2 billion a year, and satellite can support the boats doing it. So the honest summary, this was never about the moon. It's about food, safety, and getting village online. And that's worth billions. Now, let's be fair about what gap still exists. About 84 out of every $100 spent in African space projects still come from government budgets, not private investors. Government put in a little over $426 million in 2025 alone. And right now, no African country has its own working rocket launch sites. Every satellite still has to hitch a ride abroad. Somalia and Djibouti are both building spaceports with outside partners, but neither of them is finished yet. So who is really leading? Egypt and South Africa lead on infrastructure. Nigeria leads on scale and ambition. But the real winners going forward will be whoever turns satellite data into something ordinary people will actually pay for. An insurance company pricing drought risk, an app guiding a farmer, a telecom selling rural internet. This was never really a race to the stars. It's a race to solve problems on the ground. So, next time someone says Africa has no business in space, remind them it's already a $25 billion industry run by farmers, insurance, and phone companies, not just astronauts. If this surprised you, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell me which country do you think will lead African space by 2030. My name is Tafi Fagbebu. See you in the next one.